All right, Hedgehog Action back at PowerCon 2023.
Yep.
Talking to the man himself from Super 7, Brian Flynn. How you doing, Brian?
I am doing all right. My feet are still, they're not hurting yet, so I'm all right.
Yeah, we're closing in on the end of day 2 here, and I would say probably one of the biggest things in every way possible that I'm interested in is the Cat's Lair.
Right.
And I've said it a million times on some of these videos that you really can't understand how big it is, how grand it is till you see it in person.
Yes, it looks smaller in photos.
Yeah. It must be exciting for you guys to actually have this made and knowing it's going to be going out to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't make things that we think are going to fail, but you never know if it's going to work until it works. And yeah, it's working, which is great.
That's one of the things that was so cool about the early bird too, which I did hop in on, by the way, is now we know that it's getting made, and now it's just the push to 5,000. So I really hope we make it all the way.
Yeah, in the early bird, we wanted to make sure that whatever that was, it wasn't something that if you didn't get it, your playset felt incomplete.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't have the part, or I don't have this. It was something that was disparate from the playset itself.
Cool. Another thing that I'm super excited about is the new vac metal Silverhawks that are coming out.
Yes.
That pre-order is open right now.
Yes.
I'm super excited about this.
Yes.
I have wanted Silverhawks figures forever anyway. When I found out Super 7 was going to be making them, I was over the moon. And now that we're getting vac metal versions, I'm super excited about that too. Any thoughts on bringing that out to the fans now?
Well, it's what people have been asking about for a couple years now, is that they want vac metal, vac metal. Obviously, vac metal is terribly complicated to deal with. First, if you bought our Master stuff, it's cartoon accurate.
Right.
If you bought our Thundercats stuff, matches with it, it's cartoon accurate. If you're buying our G.I. Joe stuff, matches scale, cartoon accurate. If you're talking about Thundercats, it matches the scale. Silverhawks matches the scale, cartoon accurate. I also know that there's a visceral reaction to that vac metal as a toy because it was such a cool and unique feature.
Yep.
But getting that made on something that actually articulates, if you think about your vintage toys, like the vac metal didn't stay on it, it didn't work. Most of the time it's a single piece. And the materials that you can use that vac metal will adhere to is super limited.
Right.
It won't adhere to everything, and the tools that you have to use are different. So we couldn't make it in vac metal. After we were done with this figure, and we've been working on it for a while, we're like constantly trying to figure out a way to get it to work for vac metal. So with these figures, we had to change a lot of how the engineering works and make it so that the pieces don't actually touch anymore. They're just ever so slightly off so they can rotate on top of each other without scraping. We had to change, and we went through about 20 different samples of changing the mix of the materials and the tools, because the tools we have are for PVC, and you cannot vac metal PVC. You can vac metal ABS. That's why you normally see it on chests, but not on any of the other parts. So we had to go through a different thing of what is a material blend that we can use in a PVC-based mold, but isn't a PVC, so that it can hold vac metal. And that took forever. Then you have to deal with the engineering. Then you have to deal with the QC and scrap rates. And it's not a thing that the factory still wants to do. We are making it happen, but they would much rather just paint this in high metallic silver, because then they know what the scrap rate is, they know what the flaw rate is, they know what the assembly, even just the assembly errors that can happen and crack the vac metal. Vac metal looks beautiful, but it's a freaking nightmare. But this is what people say, hey, I know you're making this, but I want this, I want this, I want this. And so we're actually listening to what people want and trying to give them the thing that they've asked for. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that think we're doing some sort of bait and switch. We're not doing a bait and switch. Next wave of Thundercats is back to animation accurate. But you've been asking for it, and so I'm trying to give you the toys you want to buy.
Hey man, I think I remember, I hope I'm not saying it wrong, that even maybe one of the interviews you did with Nick from the Whoosh, you were talking about experimenting with different plastics and things with the joints or whatever, without coming out and saying that that may or may not have anything to do with vac metal. But in my head, I'm like, I wonder if that's a clue that they're trying to figure out ways to do this.
Yeah, I mean, and even in how it's going to ship to people, and I think if anybody watched the Pixel Dan video, they'll know, but like, even then, the way that those pieces come out of the tool, we make the joints and the shoulders out of material called POM. All the things that pass through each other. It's a nylon version, so that allows it to slide. Mm-hmm. So that cannot hold vac metal. So we're going to make those in silver, and you don't normally see that part anyways. But when we go to make this, how those pieces come out of the mold is we put the palm piece in the mold, then clamp it shut, then inject the material. So it's actually injected over the palm in its process of manufacturing, and then you can move them after they cool. That's how you can't pop it in and pop it out. But when we vac metal it, you have to vac metal it as a whole. So when you move that, the vac metal on the palm is going to come off. But when you put it in the joint, you won't see it anymore.
Anyway. Yeah.
But when you get them, the vac metal that happens here is going to come off. The vac metal here will not. And when you put it, when you see it, like you've seen in here, mm-hmm. like the vac metal's not on the palm on anything we have on display. But it's a host of things that's going to happen on these things. But they're beautiful toys,
yeah.
And you will be able to play with them, but you're not going to be able to play with them the way you can play with them normally.
Yeah. Listen, I really appreciate the explanation, man. I know myself and a lot of other Silverhawks fans are super excited that these are going to be on the way, and they look fantastic, man.
They do. I mean, that's the thing. That's that gut aesthetically you have on it, which is just like, look at how much this thing shines. Like they do. They look amazing like that. That's us working on it for, nearly 2 years, and that's why we're getting to it now. You know, do you not think if I could have done it at the same time and made it like you can buy animation or Chrome, I wouldn't have done that? That would have been great. Yeah. But we couldn't do it. We just now are at the point where we can do it.
All right, Brian, thanks again, man. I appreciate a few minutes. Real thrilled to talk to you, man.
All right,
take care.
Have a great show.
Yep, you too, man. Bye.